Well, good morning, everybody. It is actually 8 o'clock, and we've got a really packed agenda. So welcome to the Finance Committee for Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. The time is now 8 o'clock. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Cahill, Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans, Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Here.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozak, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu,
Here.
and Member Zay.
All right, we have a quorum. Is there any public comment today? Chairwoman's remarks. We have the Baker Tilly audit presentation today. We also have 3 presentations from our elected officials or from our staff offices. So I'm excited to see those. I wanted to get the board updated on the clerk's office in terms of bills that are outstanding right now. I checked with the finance department yesterday, and I think they put in for, I believe it was 50 bills, but 35, 31 of the 50 have been disapproved due to lack of paperwork. And so we've got bills outstanding from April all the way to August. And so this is something, of course, we all need to be concerned about as we're fiscally responsible. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we hear all the presentations today. So it's frustrating for all of us, as we know. So, you have a question, Howard?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but could you also find out the legal fees that we've had to pay for due to this litigation?
I think we can talk about that maybe in executive session, but not something that we could do open. It's okay. Do we have can we get county board exactly how much legal fees have been for what's been going on with the clerk's office? Okay, Jeff's going yes. So yes, we'll get that before.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to presentation, I want to welcome Baker Tilly here for our annual fiscal year 2024 audit presentation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me this morning. I'll be going over the results of the fiscal year 24 audit and the audit financial statements. I do have slides if they're ready. As they're getting ready, I guess I take a second to thank the finance office for helping us during the audit. They spend months getting ready for us, and then we're here for a couple months, and they answer all of our questions, fill all of our requests, and they do it in a very timely manner. It's a great partnership, and we do appreciate everything they do to help us complete the audit and be able to present it to you today. Okay, we can go ahead to the next slide, a little bit about the agenda. I will be discussing the engagement teams, a little out of order at the end, but then we'll be discussing the 2024 audit deliverables, which are the audited financial statements, the reporting and insights letter from our audit, and then this open discussion really at any time. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions with whatever I'm saying or anything else you have on your mind. A little bit about the 2024 audit deliverables on the next slide. Deliverable 1, the audited financial statements for the year ended November 30th, 2024, presented in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. And then the reporting and insights from the 2024 audit, which is our non-financial highlights. So this letter satisfies a few different auditing standards and are required reporting to the board. We also completed the single audit, which is the audit of the county's federal awards. And that was done and dated June 26th. The audited financial statements were done and dated May 23rd. A little bit about the audited financial statements. Along with our audit, we also perform a few different non-auditing services for the county. Preparation of the annual comprehensive financial report, while all the information within is county financial data, we do help compile it into the format that you have in front of you, that you have online. We also might propose adjusting and conversion journal entries based on our audit and just compiling the county's information in the format necessary for the financial statements, which is a little bit different than what you would present on a monthly basis. And also we prepare a portion of the data collection form for the federal single audit filing. Management takes responsibility for all of our work, and everything is reviewed and approved, but we are required to disclose those non-audit services. Our independent auditors report on the financial statements. We once again issued a clean or unmodified opinion on the county's financial statements. The highest level of assurance you can get from your outside auditor states that the information within is reasonable in all material respects and can be reasonably relied upon by an outside user of the financial statements. Our opinion, once again, does not cover the DuPage Airport Authority. That component unit was audited by other auditors. The information is included in their financial statements as presented in their audit. I don't have any financial information to go over. That is, take a little bit of a pause if they want to talk about the audited financial statements before I get into the reporting and insights letter, or else I can just move on to that letter.
Any questions on this before? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, keep going.
Right. So as I mentioned, the reporting and insights letter is the non-financial highlights, satisfies a few different auditing standards, required communications with the board, those charged with governance and management. A little bit about auditors' responsibilities. So the objective of the financial statement audit is to issue an opinion on the financial statements. And we look at internal controls in helping us provide that opinion on the financial statements. We don't issue an opinion on internal controls, but it does help us determine the nature, timing, and extent of our audit procedures. A little bit about management's responsibility on the next slide: to prepare and fairly present the financial statements, to establish and maintain effective internal controls over financial reporting and compliance with laws and regulations, compliance with the types of requirements described in the OMB compliance supplement. That's the federal, the audit of your federal awards, and then provide us with written representations at the conclusion of the audit, which are included in the back of the audit results letter. A little bit about the qualitative aspects of the accounting practices. So this year, accounting policies, there was one accounting policy adopted during the year. This is on the next slide. Go to that one, please. The county did adopt GASB 100, which changed a little bit of the format of the financial statements. At the bottom of any income statement, it just kind of shows if there was an adjustment to beginning net position or beginning fund balance. So you will see a little impact of that this year. The Housing Solutions Program Fund was last year was reported in the back of the financial statements as its own separate fund, and this year it was consolidated into the general fund. So you can see kind of how that moved a little bit more transparent than had been done in the past, but it helps the user of the financial statements understand just a little bit more what happened in comparison to the prior year. Accounting estimates, we look at accounting estimates and we determine they were reasonable in relation to the financial statements as a whole. The financial statement disclosures were neutral, clear, and consistent. We had no difficulties performing the audit. We did have a material audit adjustment this year, just talk about it on the next slide as well, around loans receivable. Past adjustments, these are immaterial adjustments that are not recorded in the financial statements because they are immaterial. The first one around IMRF actuarial variance, it gets complicated in terms of when IMRF has their audit done and when their actuarial evaluations are done. There's a little difference in those two reports related to the county. It's difficult to adjust to the financial statements, and this happens to every government that's under IMRF. So this is a very common thing to have. And then some immaterial things that we noted with prior year that we did not restate for as they were immaterial. We had no disagreements with management, no consultations with other accountants. As I mentioned, the management representation letter has been provided. No other significant issues discussed outside of the letter, and then other audit issues discussed in the normal course of business. So really no other concerns, outside of the audit adjustments and the material weakness that we'll talk about in a second. In the future, there will be a few accounting pronouncements that'll be applicable to the county's financial statements. Fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26, we'll work with county management to implement those accounting standards. I don't think any of them will have a huge impact on the financial statements, except for the GASB 103, which will change a little bit about how the management's discussion and analysis presented at the beginning of the financial statements. internal control matters. So as I mentioned before, we look at internal controls to help determine our audit procedures. We look at significant transaction cycles. If there's anything we feel like the board should be aware of, put that in this letter, whether or not it could result in a material statement of the financial statements, or we just feel like the board should know about it. This year, we did have, related to the loans receivable adjustment, I mentioned the internal controls around that as discussed. And usually when we have a big adjustment like that, there is a control that failed. And this is a year-end kind of reporting adjustment, more of a unique transaction that happens. And it was discovered in our audit procedures and appropriately adjusted for. In the letter is also management's response. So what management is doing about this finding and what they're doing to improve controls, which happened almost immediately once we started the discussion on the process. So while we don't, like to see these kinds of things, what's important is that it was acted upon quickly, decisively. Other comments and recommendations. Once again, we have a comment around procurement that's in the letter, slightly modified from what was presented to you prior year. Of course, we'd like to discuss either of these right now.
Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate it. Any questions? Vice Chair Cahill?
Thank you, Mr. Lightcap, for your presentation. That was excellent. I just wanted to focus on the management letter comment about the internal controls. So I wanted the board and the public to understand what the significance of the two management letter comments are, what they mean, because you kind of went over them in a general way. So I guess it's not a question. I'm just kind of, extrapolating on the two adjustments. The first adjustment was as Mr. Lightcap said, was an understatement of revenue an overstatement of revenue and an understatement of expense to the tune of $4,114,000. And this was a error in calculating the grant receivable. So that's an error, and he through the audit identified that error, and right away the finance department took correction to that, and they moved the accountant who made that error into the finance department. So that accountant will then be reporting to the grant accounting people in finance. So, to make an error, it needs to then have supervision. So somebody catches an error. And now I think that procedure is all handled by the finance department, reassigning the senior accountant from community services department to finance department. So that material audit adjustment has been handled. I did ask our outside auditor, has he identified material adjustments in the past? And he said it's been years. So we have not had a material audit adjustment like this in years. So I'm just glad that we're strengthening our internal controls in that area and that we won't see this going forward. The second management letter comment is very significant, and we know this has to do with Gene Kazmierek, the clerk's office. And it noted in prior years, he said best practices would be dictate several items for documenting procurement policy and pre-authorization of expenses. And we know that this is not happening. There are bad practices in Gene Kazmierek, the clerk's office, and she is not following our accounting procedures. Second, I think it's important to note that the auditor makes a really good comment when he says purchasing related to state or federal grant funded projects, it's really more critical than ever that you have to follow procedures and laws. These grants have strict guidelines on how funds can be used, competitive bidding, and vendor selection. So this is a really critical part of internal controls that the Gene Kazmierek, the clerk's office, needs and should be following. And the third recommendation that he says, all county departments and all elected officials comply with the documented procurement procedure and pre-authorization of expenses, which at a minimum adheres to applicable county, state, and federal requirements. So this is our outside independent auditor bringing to the management of the county the issues that he sees as an outside independent person, and telling us basically that we are at risk. We as a county are at risk. We don't know what that risk is because we can't even quantify it. We know there's 31 out of 50 bills that are not approved. We know there are certain bills that have not been certain bills that have not gone out to bid. So we don't know exactly what that number is and what that effect is on the financial statements. But I think it's really critical that we all understand here as a board how significant this is, and that we need to, hopefully this will be resolved soon with the lawsuit. And we hopefully can clear this comment up next year. And hopefully we have to get into that clerk's department at some point in time and see what else is going on in there, what other problems is there in that department. We don't even know that at this point in time. So I just wanted to stress that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cahill. Member Galassi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to ask, I recall this similar type of management comment was in last year's audit, correct?
Correct.
And I just also want to emphasize, really echoing what Member Cahill just said, that we hire and pay to have an outside auditor come in to evaluate the financial statements, internal controls, and be, a third party set of eyes to tell us, how we're doing. And that comment is saying we're not doing a good job in the clerk's department. So we have to take this seriously. This is the second year in a row. And that is why, we can't hire a professional to come in, give us, critical feedback, and then not react to it and not fix it. And then now this is the second year in a row that we've seen this same management comment. So can I just also ask, how often in one of your audits do you have management comments?
Half, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did want to point out that many audits don't ever have a management comment.
So
Is that
when we look at internal controls, there's a baseline that we look at, and it doesn't change from the county to a small municipality. So you're fortunate to have a large number of finance personnel where you can segregate more duties where a small municipality can't. In the larger organizations, it's less frequent.
Yeah, I mean, that was my experience when I was an auditor, that we frequently had audit reports without any management comments. So to have the same red flag 2 years in a row is very concerning. And, I think we are all elected officials. We all want to pride ourselves as being fiscally responsible, and to not have these addressed and have a reoccurring management comment is not a good thing. So I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Member Galassi. Member Krajewski?
Thank you, and thanks again for the audit and the presentation. So I guess you get the last of the three CPAs with Big 8, Big 6 experience asking you questions. And of course, we all understand, because we've been in this industry, the first thing you go to is the management report. And I want to say, I've been here for 15 years, and many years ago, we used to have multiple management letters, or excuse me, multiple comments in our management letter. And the thing was, it was coming year after year, the same one. And, the first thing you do when you get one is you address that and make sure it doesn't happen again. Since Jeff came in, him and his team have done a great job, because they cleaned up every single one of them, and we didn't have them the next year. Of course, we have a new one here with Health and Human Services, but we still have that one management that's consistent here. You said it was last year also, clerk's office. And, the first thing you're supposed to do when you read that is take care of that. Unfortunately, our hands are a little bit tied because we can't force them to comply with the management letter. We keep seeing it. But again, because you do this for very large companies throughout the country, or at least the Midwest, know how important this is. I mean, that's the first thing that the board of directors look at, is the management letter, or other elected boards, and clean up that management letter comment, because that risks more problems, and we just don't know what those problems are. As regard to the first one, I probably some other internal controls that should even, I know they went under finance, but there should have been some, I guess, review on who did the work. So it should have been caught somewhere along the line. And I know we moved that under finance. I guess my question would be, maybe more so finance, do we have other departments that have these grant programs that have accountants that are in there that maybe should also be moved under? Clearly you didn't find anything, but that's more of a issue, I guess, for our finance team. You identified, or management identified, moving the accountant out of the grants, Health and Human Services, to finance. I would just be curious if we have other accountant people in other departments that have grants, and whether they should be under finance also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Krajewski, and I'm looking over at finance, and they're gonna talk about it and let you know that answer. Yeah, Member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the report. Being a non-bean counter or accountant, and not understanding a lot of this, the GASB 100, is this overly onerous? Is this something that's a higher standard, or does every government use this standard when it comes to doing their books and setting procedures?
But if you have a certain set of circumstances during your year, you apply it. So it might not even, you might not even notice it on a year-to-year basis. It just happened to, it was effective this year, and it happened to be a situation where it applied. But it's just, it's
We're not
more,
setting a higher set of standards than any other
no,
government.
no, it's for everybody.
Okay.
But it's just to make your financial statements more transparent and easier to read for the
I'm sorry, I didn't
for
hear
the
you said
user.
it makes our financial statements what? More
Easier to read, easier to read.
and more transparent?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, well, in response to the outstanding bills, thank you for your presentation. The lack of budget line transfers and then hearing this presentation from Baker Tilly and perhaps more information from the auditor presents today, you know, as finance chair, I've kind of come to the difficult decision. The decision has to be made on the options that will get compliance from the clerk's office. I think that's where we're at. This may include a focused forensic audit or other options to be determined. As our best option becomes clear, I will bring it back to this board for discussion and for a consensus vote. We know as county board members, as Member Galassi just said, one of our most important jobs is to make sure the county departments are fiscally responsible, and we need to find some solution that upholds this responsibility in all departments, including the clerks. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to Baker Tilly for your presentation. Really appreciate it, Joe. Moving on to the approval of the minutes. May I get a motion to approve 25-1699 Finance Committee regular meeting for Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. I had a motion by Member Rutledge, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to budget transfers. Can I get a motion to approve 25-1894 transfer of funds from 1,180,53828 contingencies to refunds and forfeitures in the amount of $4,500 in order to refund liquor license fees for liquor commission. Moved by Member Rutledge, second by Member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 25-1895 transfer of funds from other professional services to benefit payments in the amount of $26,659 to cover expense of early retention payout requests for the recorder's office. Motion by Member Yu, second by Member Ozog. Any discussion on this? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, can I get a motion to approve 25-1891 budget transfers for 8/12/2025 for various companies and accounting units? Motion by Member Covert, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to procurement requisitions, and I hand it off to Vice Chair Key.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on 25-1862, decrease in close PO 5746 issued to Physicians Immediate Care in the amount of $13,541. The contract has expired. Human Resources.
Motion by Member Cahill, second by Member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on 25-1863, decrease in closed PO 5174 issued to Marsh & McClellan Agency LLC in the amount of $25,306.93. The contract has expired. Human Resources.
Got a motion by Member Cahill, second by Member Covert. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on 25-1864, decrease in closed PO 6354 issued to Storino, Romello, and Durkin in the amount of $123,222.85. The contract has expired.
A motion by Member Vice Chair Cahill and second by Member Covert. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on 25-1866, decrease in close PO 5971 issued to Rock Fusco and Conley LLC in the amount of $93,216.50.
A motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on 25-1867, decrease in closed PO 5910 issued to Mesero Financial Investment Management in the amount of $54,000.
Motion by Member Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Evans. All those in favor, or any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And moving on, thank you so much, Vice Chair Cahill. Moving on to Animal Services and Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0128 25, accept an appropriation of additional funding for the DuPage Animal Friends Phase 2 Capital Project Grant. We're increasing from $4,850,000 to $5,850,000, increasing by $1 million.
And a motion to my member Krajewski, second by Member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to Human Services and Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on HSP 3225, awarding resolution issued to Professional Radon Systems, Inc. to provide radon mitigation of single-family homes for the weatherization and single-family rehab grants for the weatherization program for the period August 5th, 25 through August 4th, 26, for a contract total not to exceed $31,200.
Motion by Member Schwarzy, I believe is second by Member Zay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm move to combine items 8C2, 8C3, 8C4, and 8C5.
And a motion by, oh, go ahead. We've got a motion to combine, was it HC?
C2 through C5.
C5, second by Member Covert. All those in favor of combining these items? Aye. They're combined.
Thank you. Move on HSP 3325, awarding resolution issued to Healthy Air Heating and Air Inc. for the LIHEAP Emergency Heat Program to provide service repair or replacement of inoperable or red tag furnaces for low-income qualified homeowners within DuPage County from October 1st, 25 through June 30th, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $80,000. Move on HSP 3425, awarding a resolution issued to My Greenhouse HVAC LLC for the LIHEAP Emergency Heat Program to provide service, repair, or replacement of inoperable or red tag furnaces for low-income qualified homeowners within DuPage County from October 1st, 25 through June 30th, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $80,000. I move on HSP 3525, awarding resolution issued to Nortec Environmental Inc. for the LIHEAP Emergency Heat Program to provide service, repair, or replacement of inoperable or red tag furnaces for low-income qualified homeowners within DuPage County from October 1st, 25 through June 30th, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $80,000. And I move on HSP 3625, awarding resolution issued to Parliament Builders Inc. for the LIHEAP Emergency Heat Program to provide service, repair, or replacement of inoperable or red tag furnaces for low-income qualified homeowners within DuPage County from October 1st, 25 through June 30th, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $80,000.
A motion by Chair Member Schwarzy, a second by Member Desarts. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Member Ozog?
I have a question about why you would have numerous vendors. Is there a reason in particular or geographic, or I'm just curious?
Thanks for the question. The reason we have multiple vendors is so that we can sort of dole out the work based on geography, based on response time, particularly for this. This is for the emergency furnace. So there might be a contractor who's not available. We need to
Go down the list.
We go down the list and we dole that work out to multiple contractors. Also, that way, if we have a contractor who's not terribly responsive, we can stop giving them work and load more work onto the ones that are responsive.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Mary. I appreciate it. Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. I move on HSP 3725, awarding resolution issued to Community and Economic Development Association of Cook County Inc. for professional services for the multifamily weatherization project for community services for the period August 12, 25 to June 30th, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $126,000.
Got a motion by member Swarzy, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 3825, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Unipack Corporation for trash and recycling can liners for the DuPage Care Center for the period August 13th, 25 through August 12th, 27 for a contract total amount not to exceed $150,000.
Motion by member Swarzy, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 3925, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Cardinal Health Inc. for primary pharmaceuticals for inpatient and outpatient pharmacy services for the DuPage Care Center for the period September 1st, 25 through August 31st, 27 for a contract total amount not to exceed $4,500,000.
Motion by member Swarzy, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4025, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Senior Medical Care PLLC for professional services for a medical director for the DuPage Care Center for the period September 1st, 25 through August 31st, 26 for a contract total amount not to exceed $48,000.
Motion by member Swarzy, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4125, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Prairie Farms Dairy Inc. for fluid dairy for the DuPage Care Center for the period of September 25th, 25 through September 24th, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $45,000.
Motion by member Swarzy, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? In case you're wondering, fluid dairy is milk. Had to ask that question. All in favor then? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4225, recommendation for the approval of a contract to McMahon Food Corporation for fluid dairy center for the period September 25th, 25 through September 24th, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $38,000.
Motion by member Swarzy, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Finally, I move on HSR 1525, rescission of requisition PO 778900001 serve issued to Comfort First Insulation and Energy Solutions to provide architectural services for the weatherization program for community service, contract total amount of $15,000.
Motion by member Swarzy, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Swarzy. Moving on to judicial and public safety and member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP 32-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the purchase of an Axon Body 4 camera bundle for the Sheriff's Office for the period of September 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2028 for a contract total not to exceed $625,198.30.
We got a motion by member Evans, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to move on JPSP 33-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Heartland Business Systems to provide 40 SOC SAS for the Sheriff's Office for the period of August 5th, 2025 through August 5th, 2028 for a contract total not to exceed $301,738.65.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Cahill. Any discussion on this item? Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So during JPS, we had a packed agenda, including, budget presentations. And so I was not really thinking about this item too much. And then since then, I've been asking more questions and really considering this item. And it's my understanding that really our IT department is in charge of our cybersecurity, is, a really important department that's working to make sure our county departments are safe. And as such, I think that every elected official department should really be collaborating with our IT department. And we have a lot of subject matter experts. We have a lot of great IT professionals who really understand what's happening with cybersecurity, all the trends, that kind of thing. So I just was looking for, as I've said before, actually in prior meetings, greater collaboration and more communication between the IT department and, our elected officials, including the sheriff's department. So in our technology committee meeting last week, just as an example, this item was actually not included even as an informational item. So this was really not brought before our IT department. And I don't know how much vetting has been done. I don't know what's really been happening behind the scenes, but we at the county, I don't believe the sheriff's office, we have been using CrowdStrike. And as stated in their PRCC, they were using Fortinet. And there were issues, and now they want to use another product, a Fortinet. So I have some concerns about this. And as such, I will be voting no on this item.
Were you looking, just for clarification, were you looking for any staff to give any information on this, or you're just clarifying their vote today?
I'm clarifying my vote today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Okay, roll call. Yep.
Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia,
Aye.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante,
Aye.
Member Ozak, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori, Member Yu,
No.
Member Zay, Member Cahill, Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, and Member Eckhoff.
I think the ayes have it on that one. But I do agree with just after this vote with Member Youth, I think we do need to take a closer look on perhaps the IT and what's going on between the sheriff's office, the clerk of the circuit court, and the 421 building in terms of that. So, Member Covert.
Thank you. And member, you does make a good point. And as the chair, technology current chair, I will be reaching out to the sheriff's office. And in the future, I agree, we do need to look at it a little bit more, but this was not on our agenda last week for informational, but I'll be reaching out personally to the sheriff's department to talk about this.
Okay, we look forward to you following up with us. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Public Works. Thank you, Member Evans, and moving on to Public Works and Member Childers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3525 for the recommendation for the approval of a contract with Unipack Corp. To furnish and deliver plastic trash and recycling liners as needed for the county facility for facilities management for a 2-year period of August 13, 2025 through August 12, 2027 for a total contract amount not to exceed $50,000.
Motion by Member Childress, second by Member Zay. Any discussion on this item? Member Sir.
Thank you. I know you might think this is a small item, but I just wondered, this is $50,000 for garbage bags, and then we just approved $150,000 for garbage bags for the care center. So I'm just wondering if the county collaborates together to get the lowest price, or if each entity is a silo. Thank you.
I think we have Valerie from procurement to come up and answer that question.
Yes, we do collaborate, and we did put out one bid to get the lowest price.
Excellent. Thanks, Valerie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Valerie. Follow-up question from Member
We
Krajewski.
don't have certain things that aren't done like that, right? Like people get water coolers still from various vendors. I know, I'm just saying, but but maybe that'd be helpful for us to get a list of what ones we do not bid out. Like
We can definitely work on that, and we are looking at water currently right now to put out a bid for.
for water,
Yes.
because everybody gets different water vendors to bring their water jugs. I mean, it's
We want to make sure that we're very transparent and definitely go out to bid to get the lowest price.
yeah. I mean, but I'd like to know what other ones that we Remember Desart asked for this one. I know the water's still big. Everybody does their own thing, but we probably have other ones. I'm guessing, maybe, I don't know, but maybe we can.
Definitely work on that and we'll definitely send that out to the board.
Yeah, just let, in no hurry, but just let the board know how many things the various departments or EOs are bidding out or getting in their departments that actually, we could do one big master one and probably save some money somewhere, because I gotta believe somebody's paying more money than somebody else when they're doing it. They're not all going to different vendors getting the exact same price.
Right, thank you, Valerie.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the question, Member Krajewski. Any other discussions on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3625, the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Air Filter Solutions to furnish and deliver air filters as needed for county facilities for facilities management for the period of September 27, 2025 through September 26, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $118,100 per option under bid awards.
Got a motion by Member Childers, second by Member Zay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3725 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Arlington Glass and Mirror Company for on-call window glazing repair, replacement, window adjustments, and board up services as needed for county facilities for facilities management for a period of October 1, 2025 through September 30, 2027 for a contract total amount not to exceed $91,000.
Got a motion by Member Childers, second by Member Zay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMR 725 on the recommendation for the approval of an agreement between County of DuPage, Illinois, and Court Reporting Services, State of Illinois, for leasing of space at the Judicial Office Facility or the Judicial Annex Facility on campus for facilities management for a period of September 1, 2025 through August 30, 2026 for an annual amount not to exceed $12,000.
The motion by Member Childers, second by Member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on PWP 2025 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Arshan Construction Company for the replacement of Waterfall Glen Sanitary Sewer Force Main for Public Works for a period of August 12, 2025 through August 11, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $381,425.
Got a motion by Member Childers, second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on PWP 2125 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Commercial Mechanical Inc. for boiler replacement at the Woodridge Green Valley Wastewater Treatment Plant for a period of August 12, 2025 to November 30, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed for total contract amount not to exceed $1,086,800.
Got a motion by Member Childers, second was by, I believe, Member Desart, right? No? Oh. Okay. Okay, great. You're it. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on PWP 2225 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to First Environmental Labs Permit Analytical Testing Services for Public Works for a period of August 12, 2025 to August 11, 2029 for a total contract amount not to exceed $196,263.60.
Got a motion by Member Childers, second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on PWP 2325 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Mid-America Waters for valve and hydrant part supplies for public works for a period of August 27, 2025 to August 26, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $60,000.
Got a motion by member Childers, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Childers. Moving on to stormwater and member Z.
Morning, Madam Chair. I move on SMR 9-25 intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Village of Carroll Stream for the Gunderson Outfall Day Lighting Project amount not to exceed $20,000. This is for part of the award-winning water quality grant funded program.
We got a motion by member Zay, second by member Schwarzy. Sorry, he beat you to it. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMR 10-25 intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Village of Downers Grove for the Prentice Creek Stream Bank Stabilization Project, the amount not to exceed $100,000, also water grant quality funded program.
A motion by member Zay, second by member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMR 11-25. Approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage and the Oakhurst North Community Association for the Oakhurst North Stormwater Pond 3 Stabilization Project, amount not to exceed $15,050, also water quality grant fund.
Motion by member Zay, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, member Zay. Moving on to technology and member Covert.
Sorry, microphone. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on TEP 001025, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to She International Corp. For the procurement of Absorb Software Inc. annual licensing and hosting with premium support for information technology for the period of September 14, 2025 through September 13, 2026 for a contract total amount of $38,761.23. Contract pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act.
Got a motion by member Covert, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Carries. Thank you, member Covert. Transportation and member Ozark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of item 25-1079, amendment to resolution DTR 3024 issued to Alliance Contractors for the 2024 retaining wall repair program, and to increase the funding in the amount of $104,312.20, resulting in amended contract total amount of $459,116.20.
Got a motion by member Ozark, a second by member Desart, and a question by member Desart.
Yes, thank you. I should have pleased this call yesterday. Sorry, Stephen. My question is, I believe this is my district in Naperville, and the retaining wall, I couldn't find an actual address or, general vicinity. Where is this located?
Bill's gonna keep me honest, but I'm pretty sure it's Naperville Road by Oxford area, so south of Route 38.
Okay. Naperville Road by Oxford. I know exactly where that is. That's the Alden Care Center. And then, okay, so second question is, I don't know that there are any train tracks over there. So why are we paying the railroad $10,602 for permits and fees?
So this is actually a various contract, and there's about 4 different locations where we had retaining wall work being done. The particular request here is actually to add a wall to the contract. We had originally, when we developed the contract, we had a wall on Naperville Road, kind of near, like Steve said, near Oxford, just a little south of the Marianos here by 38 and Wheaton.
Okay.
We were, in order to build the wall, we had to get some temporary easements from the residents, and that process was going slower than we'd hoped. We pulled that wall out of the contract. We awarded the contract for all the remaining walls. And while the contractor was working on the other sites, which included the railroad tracks over, I believe that one is Yackley.
Okay.
Over, the NSF, I think is the one that involves the railroad. While that work was ongoing, we finalized the land acquisition with the property owners. So we approached the contractor. They said they were still willing to honor the prices. we actually came to committee on April 1st and asked about, hey, are you comfortable? Can we get consensus with adding this back in? It was supposed to be part of the project. It's within the scope, everything else. Committee said, yes, go ahead and do it. So this is the final to add that extra wall, and the other walls that include the railroad one were part of the original contract.
Gotcha. So my final question was, why is it going up $104,000? And you just explained that. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you so much. Okay, any other discussion on this item? All in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Member Rosa.
Thank you, Stephen. Bill. I move for approval of 25-1770 amendment to resolution DTP 154A22 issued tonight for professional phase 2 design engineering services for improvements along County Highway 21, Fabian Parkway from Illinois Route 38 to the county line to increase the funding in the amount of $75,452.66, resulting in an amended contract total amount of $880,807.32. We have a second.
Got a motion by member Ozog, second by member Zay. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I move for approval of DTP 003925. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Joe Johnson Equipment, doing business as Standard Equipment, to furnish and deliver OEM parts and repairs on Vactors, Elgin sweepers, and EnviroSite sewer cameras for the Department of Transportation for the period September 16th, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $60,000.
Got a motion by member Ozog, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 004025. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to International Cybernetics Company, doing business as IMS Infrastructure Management Services, for pavement condition rating and annual maintenance and support services for the DuPage County Pavement Management Program for the period August 13th, 2025 through August 12th, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $75,201.20. One option to renew.
Motion by member Ozog, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move for approval of DTR 002225, awarding resolution to Thorn Electric for 2025 traffic signal mast arm replacements at various intersections within DuPage County for an estimated county cost of $1,482,269.60 per lowest responsible bid.
Motion by member Ozog, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move for approval of DTR 002325, resolution to rescind DTP 8923, issued to V3 Companies Limited for professional construction engineering services for improvements to the County Highway 4 Bloomingdale Road Bridge over Chicago Central and Pacific Railroad. Cost was not to exceed $641,743.81.
Motion by member Ozog, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? Question by member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I was taking a look at the explanation with regard to this, and it says that this is now eligible for federal funds, or there are federal funds available for this. And as such, there's going to be delay to start this project. And I'm just wondering, will it be completely paid for by federal funds? And second, this delay, will it cause any other issues, considering this is for specifically the, there's a bridge involved, right? That needs to be improved.
Yeah, that's correct. So it's a good question. The federal process a little more involved than our locally funded process, so that it takes a little longer. Having this particular consultant on the hook and keeping them around, it doesn't make a lot of sense to them. It's not good for their business, and we can't put them to work right away. So we have that delay. And as far as the funding, it's typically an 80% federal funding. It'll be led by IDOT. And then they'll pay the bill up front. We'll reimburse them our 20%.
In this delay, it's not going to cause any problems for the infrastructure or what's happening right there.
It will. We'll move it as fast as possible. So, but
Thank
no,
you.
it's not going to cause us any immediate problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, member Yu. Thank you for the answer, Steve. Any other discussion on this? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. I move for approval of DTR 002425,
Recommendation for approval of a lease agreement for real property between the County of DuPage and Commonwealth Edison for the lease of a portion of ComEd's property for use by the general public as a part of the East Branch DuPage River Greenway Trail. County cost $1.
Get a motion by member Ozog. Who was the second? Member of Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 002525. Recommendation for approval of a lease agreement for real property between the County of DuPage and Commonwealth Edison for the lease of a portion of ComEd's property for use by the general public as a part of the Illinois Prairie Path Geneva Spur. County cost $1.
We got a motion by member Ozog, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Madam Chair, before I finish, I want to congratulate Steve Travia for hitting his 1-year anniversary on August 1st. Steve has truly dove in, I'm not sure if my tense is correct, and taken on just a load of projects and done a great job, and we're very pleased to have him. So I congratulate him, but I also congratulate us. We're fortunate to have him.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, member Ozog. Okay, moving on to finance resolution, and congratulations, Steve, by the way. Moving on to finance resolutions and Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIR 0117-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois DCFS Children's Advocacy Center Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $348,207, State's Attorney's Office.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0118-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Department of Human Services Rapid Rehousing Program Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $120,124, Community Services.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0119-25, acceptance and appropriation of the National Forensic Science Improvement Program Grant Program Year 24 in the amount of $171,088, the Sheriff's Office.
Get a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Honig. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0120-25, acceptance and appropriation of the HUD 2024 Continuum of Care Planning Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $328,070, Community Services.
Get a motion by member Cahill, second by member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0121-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Victims of Crime Act Child Advocacy Center Services Program Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $67,740 in the State's Attorney's Office.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0122-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Violent Crime Victims Assistance Program Special Project Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $37,825, State's Attorney's Office.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0123-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Missing Pieces Grant Program Year 25 in the amount of $25,000, Coroner's Office.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Honig. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move for approval on FIR 0124-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Family Violence Coordinating Council Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $49,000, the 18th Judicial Circuit Court.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0125-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Department of Human Services Supportive Housing Program Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $102,786 community services.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0116-25, acceptance of a modification of funding for the Illinois Home Weatherization Assistance Program, HHS Grant Program Year 25. Company 5,000 Accounting Unit, Community Services.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of FIR 0129-25, ratification of the side letter agreement between the County of DuPage, the DuPage County Sheriff, and the Metropolitan Alliance of Police, Chapter 126, Human Resources.
We got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And then last.
Yep, thank you. I move to receive and place on file A, payment of claims, B, wire transfers, C, county board resolutions, D, grant proposal notifications.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill and a second by Member Heather. I have one comment on this for 10C3 under County Board Resolutions, the resolution approving the member initiative program agreements. I just had a question for staff. At some point, can we get a list of all of the great things we've done with the member initiative program? Because we would love to have that presented so we can see all of the non-for-profits that we've helped. This was a great list that was presented on today's agenda, and I know we've done great work throughout the whole year, so I'd love to see that. So just requesting that. So other than that, any other discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Vice Chair Cahill. Moving on to presentations. Looking for our treasurer to do their fiscal year 2026 budget presentation. Is the treasurer here? Yes, she is. Welcome, Gwen. That's what I hear.
So I think you all have met a lot of my team, but I want to make sure you met them. So Ellen, you want to wave? Ellen Smith, Eileen Roberts, Paul Hines, and Patrick Goodwin. And they may even answer some questions today. We'll see. Okay. So I'm pleased to be here today to present our budget. With a modest budget, and I stress that modest, we remain committed to the goal to execute the Treasurer's commitment to collect, distribute, and safeguard public funds responsibly. With a lean operation, my team and I continue to automate the collection process and without requiring any incremental headcount, cost, or any budget increases. And our goal is to be able to absorb the cost of living increases that come along through some of these budget initiatives that we can save on. So that's kind of where we are. And I think who's driving? Okay, we have our operation structure, but I don't think we need to spend any time going over that. But I would like to move to the treasurer's revenue and expense budget, which is 1,000, 5,000. And the revenue, we're going to point out that is in 2025, our budget had decreased for revenue by about $3 million, close to that, because we had an indication that the state legislature is going to reducing the penalties from 18% to 9%. Didn't happen. So this year, for this next budget, we'll have that, you'll have revenue increased by about that amount of money. It's about 2.6 million. The expense variance, and again, we have a decrease of $23,407 in our budget, which is made up of an $80,000 amount that we had in the budget for some software. We have the information out on the street for proposal, but we don't have it yet, so we don't anticipate that it's going to make it in the 2025 budget, but we're going to move it to the tax automation fund for 2026. So that's $80,000. So there has, but that 80,000 was made up, so you won't think that we just are wasting that money. The salary is an increase on the budget from, as a 1.4% increase. We don't know where it came from.
Next
That
slide.
amount was put in from tax open gov, so we can't account for that, but that accounts for part of our $80,000. And postage is going to be increasing for 2026 by about $35,000. So, and then, and just so you know, on the expense budget, and if you got that out, Joe, excuse me, the car allowance is on our budget, but doesn't show up on OpenGov. So you got all the OpenGov reports, I think, but it doesn't show up there. So that's how we ended up with a $23,000 decrease in our budget for 2026. Okay. The second item we deal with is a tax sale automation fund. And if you're familiar with that, that's one that does not go through the general fund. It stays within ours. And the revenue is going up a little bit, but it actually comes from tax sales. So we never know how much this will be for sure. It depends on how many parcels, tax parcels are sold, not property, but tax parcels. So actually we get a $10 fee for each parcel that's sold goes into this fund. There are a couple of other items. The investment income on this budget that you're seeing up here is 28.8, but OpenGov does not, for some reason, failed to put it in. But we're anticipating $28,800 of interest income. And then we have a miscellaneous expense of $36,900 that comes through this for revenue. So this all goes into our fund, and we have some expenses that come out for that, and that's on the next page. We are anticipating a salary. We have a one head count. We don't have a salary. We don't have a person right now, but we believe when we get this new software, we'll be needing somebody to work on that software and tax automation. We've got some equipment expense, but nothing major at all that's in here. The budget increase is the 81,000, 80 of it is the software. So we don't have any major expense increase in tax automation. The third item is a sale and error interest. And I always think this is interesting because why is a little revenue by itself? It's okay. The investment income was missing from the OpenGov, but it's here on here. We're anticipating about $20,000 of investment income from that. So you know what this fund, we collect $60 from every tax parcel to be set aside for a sale and error in case there is some reason that somebody comes up and objects to the sale and they want a refund. So it's there, but it is, we can only maintain $500,000 in this fund. And if it's over 500,000, we have to transfer it to the general fund. So that money comes up to you guys' fund. So it's about 120,000 a year that we anticipate will be transferred this year. So we maintain in this fund $500,000, just so you know. And the tax sale automation fund, I think it's about $1 million. I don't think, I know it's about $1 million right now, but we're going to be spending it down as we buy some software and some other equipment. So if you have any questions, Jeff told me I had 7 minutes. Did I do it, Jeff?
Okay.
Questions? Were you glad to answer any?
The first question is
Yes.
member Heather.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Treasurer, for being here, and thank you for your team. It's always so nice to have the elected officials come up here. I think it's that time of the year where we get the opportunity to say hi to each other and see each other. So thank you to you and your team for physically being here today. My question is, you mentioned that there is going to be an increase of $35,000 in postage. Could you expound on that a little bit more, please?
Well, we just saw an increase of 7.9% in postage came in July. So we anticipate that'll happen next year. We have certain things we have to mail. And so that's why we always have to have postage and we know it's out. So we have an increase in regular postage and we also are required to do a certified mailing. And that increase was 9.2%. And that's actually going to come through this year's budget, but it'll also be in next year's budget as well.
So it's all because of the increase in the postage cost overall.
Yeah, but this postage is we're required to expend that postage.
Right, I understand that.
Now, we are trying to eliminate some other postage. We're trying to not mail bills. So I don't know how many of you all have signed up to receive your bills electronically, but if you do it, that saves us money. So you might, if you haven't done it yet, you might think about it and do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I need to get that plug in or my team won't be pleased with me.
Yeah. First, we have member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question actually has to do with other contractual services, and maybe you mentioned this and I totally missed it, but the statutory and fiscal charges, it went from like 11,800 in 2022 to now 55,000. I was just wondering what the increase is due to.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear which, did you catch the ones that she's asking about?
It's under software licenses, it's statutory and fiscal charges.
This is on the revenue or the expenses for the treasurer's account?
This is for the treasurer's account, yes.
And
oh, it's bank fees. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know where that difference came. Thank you.
other questions?
Member Galassi?
Just out of curiosity, back to the mailing of the bill, do you know what percentage approximately of, homeowners are getting their bill electronic versus in the mail?
Not enough yet. We've
Yeah.
got about 16 or 17,000 getting electronic
Oh, okay.
mailing.
Okay.
We also work on where we have a large group that gets mailed, like ComEd or the phone company. We talk them into letting us send all of those electronically.
Okay.
So that makes a big difference.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here. And I did notice that the investment income was higher than what you had budgeted for 25. So I know you always do a very good job of prudently investing the money that you have. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
We're fortunate in our investing. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just warning you, next year, don't expect as much.
Yeah.
We're already knowing there's probably going to be a 50% decrease, 50 basis points now and 50 points next year at least. So revenue will go down, but hopefully not that much. It depends on how much you spend too. If you leave money for us to invest, it works better too.
Member Krajewski?
You can increase your investments by just buying forever stamps and just hold a bunch of them and don't worry about it. But I think those things have gone up 100% in the last couple of years, and they raise them every few months now. But my question, and I don't know if I got an answer from staff, and it's probably me for not following up, but with regards to the certificate of heirs that come with regards to the senior exemption, I know that Tyler is not able to print the actual dollar amount owed on that second installment, so it shows up as zero. And I don't know how it's coming out fixed, but the other question that was more broader was, is it all certificate of heirs that Tyler can't do that on the second installment, or is it just the senior exemptions?
The sale and errors have come for a variety of reasons. They get.
Well, I know why they come. I'm just saying once you correct it and you do the adjustment for the second installment, when they mail the bill out,
Yeah,
the
we
bill
do.
shows the new dollar amount,
Yes.
but the voucher shows zero.
Yeah.
On the senior exemptions, which means the seniors can't take it to their bank because the bank won't accept it. My question was, is it all certificate of heirs, or is it just relate to the senior exemption that
Related.
Tyler hasn't been able to figure out how to?
Well, no, it's not Tyler. It's been fixed. It was one issue and it's been
Okay.
corrected.
So, all right, then that's fine for next year. Thank you.
We
And
don't like errors sitting out there.
No, I know.
but
Well,
this
I
had to
know.
do with whether or not the people receive their exemption, and we don't apply the exemption. That's done through the assessor.
No, I understand that. That was a whole separate issue. And they fixed their end of it to not, ones that come in prior to November 1, they now have more procedures in place so they don't miss the ones that come in and they become certificates. But it's just Tyler, but they fixed it. And then, thank you. This is a good presentation with regards to, we actually see where you think you're going to finish the budget for the year and where your actuals are actually today. And so we can look how you're coming. And of course, you're going to finish a couple $100,000 under budget, as you always have done in the last multiple years here. But I like to see where it's the year to date, what you project.
We do have that in, I think.
I know you do. I'm saying we haven't been seeing that all the time.
Oh.
We'll see like actual from 3 months ago, but this is the actual and what you project to end at. And again, you're projecting to end, a couple $100,000 under where your budget was. So
We
thank you.
tried.
Well, you've done it. You've done it at least as far back as they've given me here. So it's all the way back to 2022, you've been under budget every year. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Krajewski. Is there any other discussion for Treasurer Henry? Let's see. Thank you so much to you and your staff for coming here and presenting. It's always nice to see you here. And then, of course, to see budgets that are, as Member Krajewski just said, are clear and able to read and show some kind of actual. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for letting us come.
Thank you. Moving on to the auditor's office for the fiscal year 2026, we welcome Auditor Bill White.
Good morning, everybody. I think most of the people in this room know who I am, but there's watching online or later watching the video. My name is Bill White. I'm the DuPage County Auditor, and I'm here today to present the FY26 budget request for the Office of the County Auditor. So the next slide, please. So, as background, the Office of the County Auditor is established by Illinois law. The statute outlines several duties and responsibilities, and today I will mention two of those responsibilities. The Auditor's Office is responsible for reviewing all claims against the county and then recommending or not recommending the payment of those claims. This is sometimes known as pre-audit review. And typically my office will check for mathematical accuracy of the invoices, the availability of appropriated funds as their money on the budget line, the appropriate approval by the appropriate officials, and whether there's been compliance with budgetary, procurement, and policy requirements. Another key function of the Auditor's Office is to conduct an ongoing assessment of the effectiveness of county's internal control activities and to make recommendations to strengthen internal control activities. So next slide, please. The next two slides, this slide and the next slide, present budget data. These slides are consistent with the OpenGov information that you received. And when we get to the expense slide, it doesn't have all the detail on the slide that you have from OpenGov, because it'd be hard to fit all of that under a single slide. The Auditor's Office has a simple and straightforward budget, perhaps the most simple and straightforward budget you will be considering. Being an internal service department, the Auditor's Office does not generate revenue except for indirect cost reimbursement. We receive indirect cost reimbursement from ETSB, the Commission, the ERA2 program, which is Emergency Rental Assistance Grant Program, and the American Rescue Plan Act, known as ARPA. Currently, in collaboration with the Finance Department, the ETSB cost reimbursement is shown as a revenue item. Currently, these others, BAC, ERA2, and ARPA, those salaries are billed directly to those departments, so they don't show up on the revenue line as subtracted from our salary cost. Next slide, please. On the expense side, salaries constitute approximately 90% of the Auditor's Office FY26 budget request. That's the same percentage it was in FY25. Actual year-to-date salary expense is currently projected to come in lower because of a current vacancy in the senior staff auditor position. You go back to that, we're down one of our approved headcount right now. The remaining 10% of the FY26 budget request is commodities and contractual items, and 60% of that 10% is IT related. I know that each and every one of you has received the OpenGov with a lot of line item detail. So rather than walk through each line item one by one, I'm prepared to answer any questions that the county board might have. So with that, we'll go to the last slide, and I'm open for questions. I did better than 7 minutes for the quiz.
Okay, Member Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here, Auditor White. I just wanted to go back to the salary line, because it looks like I understand that you have an open head count, but you're going to be down about 100,000-ish for this year based on your budget. So has that position been open the entire year?
It has been open the entire year.
Are you in the process of trying to fill it?
We're in the process of trying to fill it now, putting together our request. It's the senior staff auditor position is extremely important that we get a good person who not only understands the accounting and the auditing, but can write, because we have to write coherent, intelligent reports. So that's why we need to find the absolute right person. And the salary range now for those people, unfortunately, is getting higher and higher. So, but that's going to be very important. And we've been able to hold it together because my chief deputy's gone above and beyond. That's basically the bottom line, is how we're able to hold. But that can't continue indefinitely. And we definitely need someone to bring her some reinforcement.
Understood. And I do understand the importance of that role. So have you been trying to recruit for that position all year?
Well, this year in the past, we've had 2 people that didn't work out.
Okay.
And then we're just actually, it's my intention to go out again and post the job in the very near future.
Okay.
It's not currently posted. The job is not currently posted.
Okay.
We intend to post it in the very near future.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I see that your budget is obviously pretty lean. I do notice, though, that there is an increase in travel expenditure, mileage expense, travel expense, and training and education. And so I'm just wondering, are you anticipating a lot more training and education and travel in 2026?
Yeah, I'll answer that in 2 parts. First, with respect to the current fiscal year, we have conferences and education scheduled for October and November. So it's not showing up yet, but we fully expect to. The state of Illinois has a conference, the State of Illinois Internal Audit Advisory Board, which is a specialty in governmental internal audit. Finding CPE, finding education for government internal audit, it's a little more specialized. So they're having a conference in October. And then looking forward to next year, there's an association I've become aware of, known as the Association of Local Government Auditors. The acronym is ALGA. And it's county auditors, it's county, city, special districts from across the country. And they're having a national conference in Cleveland in May of 26. And it's my intention to have my office, including all of the audit staff, build strong relationship with that. There's less quality online education than there's been in the past. So while in percentage terms, the request for travel and education is going up in percentage terms, the actual absolute dollar amount is not all that large.
Right.
And it's important that basically for staff development.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Auditor White, for being here. Last year, I recall there being a conversation where you were maybe rolling out some new software and that was going to help with the monthly auditor reports. Is that something that is there a status update?
We've looked into that, and the problem we face is extracting data from our ERP in an efficient manner. And it does not appear that we have access to any like bolt-on programs that we can attach to the ERP that'll help us get the information out more quickly. I wish there was, but that does not appear to be the case. And I know you brought up the question of the quarterly reports, and just to jump right into that point, the quarterly reports for the 4th quarter of 24 and the first 2 quarters of 25 were completed yesterday and published this morning. Regarding the timing of that, it is best that the quarterly reports not be issued, the 4th quarter, that the 4th quarter report not be issued until the external auditor has completed their annual audit report. As you heard earlier this morning, Baker Tilly recommended a material adjustment to the 2024 financial statements. Had we issued the 4th quarter quarterly report before those adjustments were made, they would have been inaccurate. Related, it is best to wait until a fiscal year is, quote, final close. And what that means is that the finance department's made the determination that there will be no further adjusting entries that would change the figures. The quarterly report is not an audit. It's intended to provide a comprehensive overview of the financial state of the county. And if adjusting entries are made after the report's issued, the report is no longer accurate. On Friday, August 8th, this past Friday, the CFO of the finance department sent out an email saying FY24 has been final close. So the finance department last Friday, just this past Friday, stated that we don't foresee any future adjusting entries. On Monday, we reviewed the preliminary work that we had in progress, made sure nothing had changed. By the end of the day yesterday, we were finished. This morning, you all got an email saying that 3/4 of the quarterly reports, for the fourth quarter of 24, the first quarter of 25, and the second quarter of 25 have been published. The third quarter of 25 is not over yet. That goes through August 31st. So we're completely caught up on that. I really wish we could get software, but the problem is, the bottom line is we need a new ERP. We need a new finance ERP, but I understand IT is doing the best they can. We face a lot of constraints on that. So we just have to keep going the way we're going until we can cross that bridge.
Okay, so there's no software. I was kind of looking for that line item in
Right.
your budget, and I didn't see it, so there
That's the
really
only
isn't.
thing we can buy. I don't think there's anything that we can buy that will help our office extract data from the ERP more effectively or efficiently than what we already have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I had member Zay, do you still have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Bill, for coming out. Just to tail off Member Evans, I mean, we had the same discussion last year. You were short on personnel, you needed software, and it seems like in a year, nothing's been done. So I'm a little concerned that you're back here with the same story that, I need software, I need people, but you really haven't done anything to.
I'm not asking for more software. I'm not asking for more software in the current budget.
I know last year, though, you said you needed.
I thought we needed it,
software.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we looked into it very carefully, and if there had been a software solution, I would have come forward and asked for it. But I did not find a software solution that would help us. So we just made sure we got the work done.
Okay, thank you.
Member Krajewski?
Yeah, I just said two things. One, just to follow up to Member Evans. I understand that it makes a lot of sense with getting the fourth quarter out now when everything's closed. I just don't remember what the statutory requirement was, if there was a time frame that the state law requires it to come out, and that may be a conflict that needs to be fixed. But my question is, I would like you to fill that position, and suggest potentially maybe you need another position there. I've been here since 2010, and years ago we used to get multiple reports. Now they're online, but there was a lot of internal audits done. I mean, I think before you got here, there was well over 100 of these being done by the auditor's office, and they were catching things that were being done, inappropriately, not correct, and they were made their changes and they fixed them. And well over 100 a year. In the last few years, you had 44 and 22, you had 39 and 23, and you had 24 last year. And that's way down from the hundreds that we used to have. Your office is very important, and I would suggest you do some of those. And now I'm going to ask the question I'm asking. I've talked to the state's attorney and I've talked to finance. How much time has you in the auditor's department spent trying to deal with the clerk? And that amount of time, maybe once it's resolved, you'll have more time, your department, to go and look at other areas and be able to identify either they're doing it correctly or more internal controls, which is what we used to see years ago, because we'd had over 100 of them, and some of them were just minor recommendations. And so if you answer my question here, maybe we need another person in your department so you can carry on the functions of your department, because you're spending an inordinate amount of time dealing with the clerk. And I know in my talks to finance and the state's attorneys, they're spending hundreds of hours of their time, which can be better used to carry on the functions of what they should be doing. So how much time do you think your department of 7, 8 people has spent in the last year on dealing with the clerk?
So, I think I heard 3 questions, and we'll take them in reverse order. Okay. When finance presented several weeks ago, I believe they said about 10% of their time. That's comparable. At least that's comparable. Not just keeping track of the claims, communications, and a lack of response to communications. And now I'm a party to the lawsuit. And as a consequence, I have to prepare records to provide to the state's attorney. I don't think in terms of total hours, the state's attorney is spending way more than we are. But as a percentage basis, it is a significant percentage. And to turn to your first question about the timing of the quarterly reports, I'm unaware of any statutory requirement, but to get very specific, in 2020, before I was elected auditor, the 2019 fourth quarter report was issued in July 24th. In 2019, the 2018 fourth quarterly report was issued July 20th. In 2018, the 2017 quarterly report was issued in September. So at August.
It makes sense. I just don't know if the
Yeah,
state, there's a statutory requirement that you have to do.
I'm not aware, we're not, and basically, and then, yeah, so basically to have these come out August 12th is fully consistent.
I'm not
with
worried
the
about
practice.
that as much as I'm worried about.
But the statutory requirement. And
Do you think you could use one more person in your budget just so you can care? I mean, you got to deal with this clerk, and I would like to see, you know, some potentially you have more time for your staff to do some more potential internal audits of various departments that could then lead to recommendations like we used to get them years ago. Like I said, if you do 100 reports, you're going to find something. If you do 20 reports, you're probably going to find less. So again, to allow you to continue to, you know, do what your offices should be doing, you may need another person in there, let alone the one that's, you know, been open because of the amount of time that you're dealing with the clerk.
So that lets me get to your third question, which was the middle one, okay, which is about the audit reports. In the current fiscal year, we've completed a great deal of field work on a number of audits. It's writing them up, and it's the senior staff auditor who takes the field work and gives a draft. And my current chief deputy and I could be much further along in doing those ourselves if we weren't dealing with the clerk. So obviously, if the county board wants to give me more headcount, I'm not going to turn it down. But that said, at this point, I'd rather fill the senior staff position and see how, and we absolutely have to fill that because that's the person who's going to help us take the field work we've already done, the field work that we've done the first half of this year, and turn it into a publishable audit report. And if I wasn't filling out paperwork to answer the clerk's requests for information to the state's attorney, I could be writing audit reports. And that's basically what I actually, and well, like another person, if you want to give me one, I'll be happy to take it, but I'm not asking for it.
No, I understand you're not asking for it, but I understand, one, you got an open position, and one, I'd like to see more reports coming out. Sounds like you've done some.
I'd like to see more reports coming out too.
And I know the reason you can't do it is because you're spending, you in office is spending so much time dealing with the clerk issue, which you shouldn't have to do, which you know, get your reports finalized and stuff. And if anything, increase whatever you're paying the senior person, pay them some more, just get another person in there that's good that can help you get these things finalized to get out. Cause I mean, I look at your reports and, you know, you're the person that can find stuff and recommend changes. So we don't have like, you know,
oh, I have field work. I have, but we have to be able to take the time because that's why I said earlier, it's simply not accounting and auditing. It's the ability to write a coherent, intelligent, understandable report, and that's what we need to do, and that's problematic to do that when I'm filling out paperwork for a lot.
I understand 100%. Right. Thank you very much again for the report.
All right, thank you so much, Member Krajewski. Thank you for your answers. Member Honig.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Auditor White, for coming in. And it was a great budget presentation, and thank you for being attentive and producing the quarterly reports. I know the board last year had asked to have them timely, on time, and to be, you know, well written and understandable. And so I appreciate that as well, and having them be on time. And also I do, talking about the software, I definitely understand if you had looked into it and saw that there was, it would be harder to integrate a software that would be hard to actually manage. And even if you are also right now doing the reports well, and you don't necessarily need the software, I understand that as well. So I appreciate your explanation on that. And also in accordance with the open headcount, I do think it's important that you stress that that position is extremely important, and having a great senior auditor that helps write clear and concise reports is also important. So I think it is important that you take that time. I mean, and if you know you don't need it at the moment, hiring the best person. while also hiring the best person for the job to make sure that we are seeing those reports and they are well written and that we can understand them, and so that we know what's also going on. But I do think it's super alarming that, you know, not only is the state's attorney, finance, the auditor's office spending this much time with the clerks, this ordeal with the clerk, because it takes away from everything that you want to do, and that you continuously, you know, are trying to manage all these different things at one time and also produce the things that we are asking of you. So, you know, I hope that this resolves soon. And I, again, thank you for being here and giving a great budget presentation. Thank you. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Honig. Member Eckhoff. What's next? You're on.
Thank you. I just want to follow up a little bit with what Mr. Zay had said, but first of all, you've got the budget increase in personnel is 140,000. So is the one person that you're looking for, you're expecting to earn that amount?
I believe it's 100,000.
You've got going from 654 to 795.
Okay, well, part of that is the approved budget that this county board approved in November of 24 was a number shown as the approved budget. In December, the county board gave an across the board 3.5% increase. So the approved budget from 24 does not include the across the board 3.5%.
So what do you expect the new person's salary to be?
Approximately between 90 and 100.
And then when you indicated you were working with trying to find new software,
yeah, did
you work with IT to do that, or is that on your own?
Well, both, and what we need, or what we could have used, and the product apparently, as far as we can tell, does not exist, is to be able to extract information from the Lawson ERP system, and it's really a bolt-on. And we probably won't have a good solution to these issues until we get around to procuring a new ERP. And I intend to be very actively involved when it comes time to procure the new ERP to make sure that our needs are included as part of the request for proposal, as part of what we get. If there was some silver bullet, we could just pay $100,000 and get software that would work. Maybe I'd be here asking for it, but I'm not asking for it because I'm not aware of a product that works. And talking with IT, we're not aware of a product.
Well, that didn't seem to be a problem 5 years ago. Why is it a problem now? We seem to be getting quarterly reports on time.
Well,
previously.
We did fall behind. We caught up last summer. This summer, we're current. And the time that we issued them this summer has been consistent with past practice before I was auditor. So what I sent out this morning is not late. And we're now 100%.
Well, I started checking the quarterly reports about a month ago and asked staff to ask you what was going on. And I was told that there were 2 quarterly reports missing from last year. And they were going to be filed by July 18th. So they weren't filed by July 18th. So then I went and I asked, I was going to ask you at technology last week, but I didn't see you there. So I called your office last week and left a message on your voicemail, which looks like you received. And I said, could you send out a memo and tell us what the problem is for getting these reports? Because there's 2 or 3 of them that haven't been filed quarterly. And I would suggest the fact that the name of the statute is quarterly reports means that they're supposed to be filed quarterly. And as I'm doing a little research while we're talking here, that's what the statute seems to be, quarterly reports. But you didn't call me back and you didn't send out a memo. And then this morning, we get the reports at 8:47 this morning, or 7:47 this morning. So it's the process that bothers me, is that it was a problem last year. It seems to be a problem this year, but there's not communication back and forth between us, you and the board, about what's going on. And then for you to come in here and say, well, they're now filed, when I've been looking for them for a month, and you file them 10 minutes before we start this meeting today, just doesn't seem to be the right way to be doing business. And, you know, I didn't want to bring this up here. That's why I called you last week and looked for you at technology and had staff looking for you a month ago. but there hasn't been communication back and forth about what's going on. So I hope that next year or during the next year, things get better, but you seem to be saying that some of these reports have to be adjusted and that you're waiting for additional information to file a quarterly report. But I would suggest that if new information comes in after you file the quarterly report, that you would just make an adjustment to the report. I mean, it seems we see that all the time in different governments with all different types of reports. So I would say it's a quarterly report, file it quarterly. And if the next month something comes out that adjusts that, then you go ahead and file an adjusted quarterly report. But you just don't wait 9 months to file the reports when the statute's pretty clear that says you file it quarterly.
And thank you.
And if there's a big problem with that, then let us know. So we don't, all of a sudden everything comes rolling downhill when you come up here and make your report, your budget report.
I'm not trying to cut you off, Member Rocco, but we do have another presentation today. So I've got Member LaPlante to start and Cahill, a few more questions on this.
Oh, sure. Okay. So Member Eckhoff, you did leave a voicemail on Friday. My recollection from the voicemail, you said you'd be bringing it up this morning. I talked about this earlier. Both my predecessor's practice, which I continued, and the practice I explained earlier today, is that the information that is used to prepare the fourth quarter report is open to a change, is open to adjustment until the external auditor finishes their work and until the finance department issues a final close of the period.
But you're focusing on the fourth quarter. I'm talking about there's 2 quarterly reports from last year that you didn't file on time.
I'm not.
You just filed 3 reports this morning.
Yeah, the first 2 quarters of 25. We filed the fourth.
Second, the last 2 of 2020. I mean, I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
I'm just saying, communication is, I don't want to come here and try and ask these type of questions now, but let us know what's going on. If the quarterly report's going to be late, shoot us an email and say this is going to be late and this is why. Just.
So I'll do a better job. I'll do a better job of communication. I believe it's extremely important that all of the elected officials communicate and collaborate with the county board and with staff to the maximum possible extent. So to the extent, I'm 100% committed to improving communication and collaboration.
All right, thank you, Member Eckhoff. Member LaPlante.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Auditor White, I'm sure that you remember and are aware that I've asked for audits from you for years. I want to stress that. Years I had to sit here and ask over and over and over for audits from the clerk's office. So to hear you describe the difficulties and the inordinate amount of work that you're having to do because of the issues stemming from the clerk's office, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that perhaps we wouldn't be this deep if the audits had been done in a timely fashion on the clerk's office. And if we had gotten some of that information that I had to sit here and demand over and over and over for years. So what concerns me is the reason that you gave for not having those audits done and not following up with the cannabis tax debacle from the clerk's office is you said there was an issue with software and you were understaffed. So you can understand why I would be concerned that there still is no new software and there's still an open headcount in your office. And you are saying that that's what you need very, very much to continue and to do your work at the level to which you aspire. Why is that position not even open right now? If it's that important, that position should be open. So again, I just want to make sure that we are not practicing revisionistic history here and that we are really clear on the whole timeline and the process. And I would like to know how you are going to make sure you have the proper staff and procedures in place that you can stay current. And let's be real, there's going to be a lot more coming down the pike from the clerk's office with these lawsuits and figuring out what's going on. So if it's been a struggle already, I'm concerned for how it'll be in the future. Can you please address those issues? Thank you.
With regard to the current issues with the county clerk, that's in litigation, and we stay in contact with the state's attorney's office. And the state's attorney is really taking the lead on the lawsuit. With regard to your other questions, I'm comfortable that I fully answered everything in my earlier comments, and you're perfectly welcome to review what I said. My plans for filling the open position. I'm not going to basically rehash or debate what I talked about before. I explained my intention regarding the senior staff auditor position. I explained we are 100% current on the quarterly reports. I explained that we have field work completed on a great many audits. We have to write them up. And if we hadn't been working with the state's attorney on the lawsuit, we'd be writing them up. And that's where we're at. And that's the extent of the answer that I'm going to give this morning.
Thank you. Member
Not
Stark?
very satisfying, but thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Member Eckhoff is spot on, and I agree with everything you said 100%. Thank you for your report, Bill, but a year ago when you gave this report, you had the same issues and they haven't been corrected in a year. And those issues are that your predecessor was able to produce quarterly reports, state statute quarterly reports, quarterly. And you're telling us today that you are now up to date with quarterly reports when you released the quarterly reports in a bunch 2 hours ago. And we've all been in meetings, so I haven't had the chance to look at those quarterly reports because they were released 2 hours ago. This is a state statute to provide quarterly reports, and you're just not doing the job. And I'm really curious as to why your predecessor provided quarterly reports and you can't seem to get it done. If it's truly software that you need that your predecessor didn't have either, then maybe you should ask this board for funding for the software. But last year, we had the same issue with you, Bill, that you're not providing quarterly reports to us. And that is your main job, sort of, since it's a state statute. Do you have comments regarding that?
The one comment I want to make is give 3 dates. On July 20th.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Rebates?
I'm going to give 3 dates.
Okay.
On July 24th of 2020, my predecessor released the fourth quarter quarterly report for the fourth quarter of 2019. So today I'm 3 weeks later than his report was in 2020. In the previous year, on July 20th, or excuse me, and so it was July 10th of 2020. And I got this. Okay, so on September 5th of 2018, my predecessor released the fourth quarter financial report for the fourth quarter of 2017. So my release of these reports are as timely as my predecessors.
You know, that's not good enough. Quarterly reports should be released quarterly. And that's what the state statute says. My other comment is this: you know for a fact that you can't get your work done because you spend so much time on the clerks. You said 10%. Well, how much time did you spend before on the clerk? 2%, 3%? How much time do you spend on every single elected official? The treasurer's report, the state's attorney's report, the recorder's report. I mean, can you say for a fact, you're saying for a fact today that you spend 10% on the clerk? How much time do you spend on the other reports so that we can have a comparison to how much extra work that is?
It's my intention this morning to present my budget report and not to debate the performance of my office. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
It was my intention this morning to present my budget request. This is not a debate about the performance of my office. Thank you.
You know, you brought it up, so that's why I assumed it was fair game to talk about since you're the one who brought it up. You know, I will close since you don't want to answer my questions. I will just close with saying that it's a state statute to get the quarterly reports out quarterly, and I would like you to, in the future, I know we told this to you last year, but in the future, please get those quarterly reports out to us quarterly. Thank you.
Last question on this run, because we have another presentation and we've got the county board in 10 minutes.
Yes, real quick.
Member Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you. A lot of my questions have been answered, but what I don't understand is why are you talking about the software? You don't have work paper software?
Oh, no. It's a software too.
You have work paper software.
We have work paper software.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I thought you have to have work paper software.
No, the quarterly reports are We extract data from the county's ERP.
Okay, but you
And-
do have the work paper software.
Absolutely.
We paid for that with work.
Absolutely.
Second quick question is, our chair mentioned a forensic audit. So when an internal auditor comes in and identifies areas of risk and areas of exposure, have you increased your scope at all in the clerk's office? What about cash? What about checks that are written in the clerk's office? Have you identified any problems other than, not the support for all the bills to be paid? I mean, there's a lot going on in that office. Your office as internal auditor, we don't have any assurances that, what about the cash? What about the checks? What else is going on in Gene Kazmarek's office?
I don't believe the clerk has an independent bank account. So all the checks, all the checks from the clerk's office go through the county's account payable system. So they don't have they do not have an independent bank account. And there may be petty cash in where they take death certificates, but it's a very small amount of money.
All right, and thank you so much, Auditor Bill White, for coming up here. I appreciate it. If anybody else has any further questions regarding his report or any questions to the auditor, please follow up with him. I'm sure he will see you in his office or take an email from you. So thank you all for your questions. Moving on, we've got to go on to the Regional Office of Education's fiscal year 2026 budget presentation, and we welcome Amber Quirk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Finance Committee. My name is Amber Quirk. I'm honored to be here as the Regional Superintendent to present to you our ROE budget. I did bring 2 members of my staff. Janet Gearman is our Interim Director of Finance. She's been in the role since June. And Kelly Kazurka, who might have the nickname Jack, because fun fact, she's worked at the ROE for 28 years. So, and she's Jack of all trades. That's where Jack comes from. Okay, so to kick us off, I wanted to share that, as you can see our org chart, we have 9 overall departments at the ROE with 65 full-time employees and 5 part-time employees. 15 FTE salaries are funded through the county. We also contract with personnel who help provide services for various programs at a reduced rate. And as many of you are probably aware, we have required key services such as educator professional development and licensure, truancy intervention services, operating a regional safe school, and alternative learning opportunities program. We also conduct health life safety visits at the schools and do compliance visits as well. And then we offer value-added services such as McKinney-Vento support for homeless students. We have a Parents as Teachers program. We provide coaching for school leaders, and we conduct job-alike networks for school personnel, such as our school safety network, and we try to involve other entities in the county to share resources. We are not a taxing body. I wanted to point that out. We do secure federal and state grants as well as local funds to run our programs, and we depend on the generous support of you. And although we are less than 1% of the overall budget, we are extremely grateful for the support from the DuPage County Board. So if we can move on to what our expenses are, as you can see, we are requesting approximately a 2% increase from last year in our overall budget. The majority of those funds are supporting salaries for our headcount, which makes up 82% of our total budget. We have had some increases due to promotions for increased job responsibilities. And you will notice there are some other lines that we decreased or moved items around. But given our short amount of time, I will turn it over to questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Amber. Thank you for the really abbreviated thing. Sorry, we couldn't give you much time. First question I have is Member Honig.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here, Ms. Quirk. I guess going to it's something you said about the federal and state funds. You rely heavily on retrieving those from the federal and state government. Up to date this year, are you is acquiring them becoming easier, harder? Are you, on I guess on par with last year? Is there any issues going on with trying to receive money from the state that gets passed down from federal to state to your office? And if there's any challenges with that this year?
That's a great question. We lost one grant, one of the federal grants. Fortunately, it did not impact personnel at our office. We were able to absorb those costs. Just very late last week, we received word that the McKinney-Vento funds were going to be released by the state, but up until that point, we were unsure if those were going to be headed our way. But other than that, we don't rely on title funds for our grants, which is what a lot of school districts utilize outside of their local tax dollars. So we're really fortunate that part was not majorly impacted. So far, I believe we have all of the grants at the same level that they were last year, other than the one federal one that we lost, and we are actually unsure about what the McKinney-Vento amount will be.
Okay. Thank you.
Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I actually have 3 questions. I'm sorry. So first, I always forget to do this because I always just jump right into the questions. Thank you for being here. I appreciate any and all elected official who comes to present their budgets, really, truly. But so my first question is the repair maintenance, relatively, it's a pretty large increase. It went from 2,000 to I think 10,500. And I know that as of today's date, it was at 0. So I'm just wondering about that.
Great question. Our office has not been painted in over 20 years.
Okay.
I got a quote. In order to move the furniture, it was going to be $50,000 and then $10,000 for the paint. So we're not moving the furniture. We're going to paint around it.
Got it. Thank you. And then 2, your dues membership is now at 7,600 versus 32. And I know that's double. So I'm just wondering, is dues membership a lot higher for some reason?
Our Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents, a group that gets together for all the 38 offices. The dues did increase in a prior year, but I believe the practice had been to just shift the money to that account when it was needed or to that line. So we tried really hard to make sure things were actually aligned with what the costs would be. And then there's 2 additional conferences for myself and the regional superintendent to attend, as well as one other organization-wide membership for AESA.
Okay, got it. And then my last question is, I saw that there were 0 software licenses, but that there's an increase in the subscription IT arrangements. I wasn't sure if that was just a switch of funding.
In which one? Can you repeat that one again?
For software licenses, you're asking for 0, but for subscription IT arrangements, you're moving it up to from 0 to 2022 and now 7,500, and projected it was like 0 for 2025. So I'm just wondering.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, but I think this goes to the Mindsight line item.
Can you repeat the answer to that? Can you come up to the microphone just because they can't hear you? Thank you.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Kelly, she wouldn't really have to talk, so I'm sorry.
Okay, we were under the instruction of the auditor's office to no longer use the software maintenance when we were switching it over to the IT subscriptions.
Oh.
They felt that fit the requirement better.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions for Amber and her staff? No, okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming and presenting. Sorry, I was a little bit rushed there. Okay, thank you to everybody who came today. I appreciate it. Is there any old business today? No, well, we actually have executive session today too. So, yeah. Is there any new business? Okay. Okay, so. Yeah. So with that, I take a motion, or I asking for a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Open Acts Act by guidance for security procedures. We've got a motion by, I believe, member Desart, second by. Thank you, member Krajewski. You didn't have your mic up, but thanks. Who was the second on that? Member Evans. Thank you. Do we need a roll call on that? Yes.
Member Cahill.
What?
Member Children.
Wait. Well,
Member Colbert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans.
Aye.
Member Galassi. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Member Honig. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozag. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori.
Here.
Member Yu.
Here.
Member
Aye.
Day.
Okay, we're gonna give up a few minutes to make sure everybody's off.